The Washington quarter dollar, one of the most recognizable and widely circulated coins in United States history, has an incredible story that stretches from the early days of its introduction in 1932 all the way to the present, and as collectors, historians, and casual enthusiasts know, this coin has been struck in silver, copper-nickel clad, and even in modern commemorative versions, making it not just a piece of money but a true historical timeline captured in miniature metal form, and to truly understand its importance, we must go back to the year 1932 when the United States was preparing to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, as the Treasury and Congress debated on whether to release a commemorative half-dollar or instead replace the existing standing Liberty quarter design, and ultimately, they decided to introduce the Washington quarter as a permanent circulating coin, a decision that would shape American coinage for nearly a century, with the first coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1932 using John Flanagan design based on Jean-Antoine Houdon's famous bust of Washington, and the obverse depicted a left-facing portrait of George Washington with the inscriptions "Liberty" above, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date below, while the reverse featured an eagle with spread wings clutching arrows and olive branches, surrounded by "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and "Quarter Dollar," a simple yet elegant design that would endure with only minor modifications for decades, and importantly, the first year of issue produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints gave birth to some of the most sought-after rarities in the entire series, specifically the 1932D and 1932S Washington quarters, both of which had extremely low mintages, just 436,800 for the Denver and 408,000 for the San Francisco, making them key dates that every collector dreams of acquiring, and because these were circulating coins used during the depths of the Great Depression, most were heavily worn in commerce, so finding a mint state or well-preserved example is exceedingly rare, with some high-grade pieces selling for tens of thousands of dollars at auction, and this is just the beginning of the Washington quarter story, because from 1932 to 1964, all quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them intrinsic bullion value in addition to their numismatic worth, and when the Coinage Act of 1965 eliminated silver from circulating quarters due to rising silver prices and hoarding, the mint transitioned to a clad composition of copper-nickel layered over a copper core, a change that collectors immediately recognized as the end of an era, creating a natural divide between silver Washington quarters and clad Washington quarters, with the silver issues being far more desirable not only because of their metal but also because of their historical status as part of the classic coinage period. And when we look at the different eras, the pre-1965 silver quarters are collected by date and mint mark with attention to strike, luster, and preservation, while the later clad coins are often collected for varieties, special strikes, and errors. And speaking of errors, the Washington quarter series is rich with dramatic and valuable mistakes, such as double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and perhaps most famously, the 1937 double die obverse, the 1943 S double die reverse, and even modern errors like the 2004 Wisconsin State quarter with an extra leaf on the cornstalk, which has fetched hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grade, proving that even recent issues can carry incredible value. And while the original Washington quarter design remained mostly unchanged through 1974, there were important milestones like the 1975 to 1976 Bicentennial quarter, which featured Jack L. R.'s special drummer boy reverse with dual-dated obverse 1776 to 1976, minted in both copper-nickel and a special 40% silver composition for collectors, and these bicentennial quarters, though struck in huge quantities, remain nostalgic favorites and hold premium value in high-grade or silver versions. And then in 1999, the U.S. Mint revolutionized coin collecting by launching the 50-state quarters program, which became one of the most successful coin initiatives in American history, running from 1999 through 2008 and featuring unique reverse designs for each of the 50 states, sparking millions of new collectors to check their pocket change for the newest designs, followed by the D.C. and U.S. Territories quarters in 2009, and then the America the Beautiful quarters from 2010 to 2021 showcasing national parks and historic sites, before finally transitioning in 2022 into the American Women Quarters program. And through all these redesigns, the Washington obverse portrait has remained, though updated with more realistic depictions and refined details, reminding us of its enduring legacy. And when analyzing the market, certain Washington quarters stand out for their astronomical auction results, such as a 1932D in MS66 selling for over $140,000, a 1932S in similar condition topping six figures, or a 1934 double die obverse quarter commanding massive premiums, while high-grade clad quarters from the 1970s or 1980s, though seemingly common, are actually worth thousands because they are nearly impossible to find with pristine surfaces due to mass circulation. And beyond rarity, collectors love Washington quarters because they tell the story of America. From honoring the first president to marking bicentennials, celebrating states, parks, and women in history. And every type of collector, whether bullion-focused, variety-focused, or casual, can find a niche within this coin's vast history. And when it comes to size, the Washington quarter measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter and weighs 6.25 grams in its silver form and 5.67 grams in its clad form, making it instantly recognizable in hand. And while billions have been minted over the decades, true treasures hide among them, waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors. So the Washington quarter is not just pocket change, it's a canvas of American history, artistry, and value, and its journey from 1932 to today shows us how coins can evolve yet still remain connected to their origins, which is why this series remains one of the most beloved and widely collected in numismatics. When we move forward into the second phase of understanding the Washington quarter dollar, it becomes clear that this coin is far more than just an everyday piece of circulating money because it bridges different eras of U.S. history, and in order to appreciate its modern significance, we need to look closely at how collectors, investors, and grading services view the Washington quarter today, as grading has become an essential part of numismatics, with organizations like PCGS and NGC setting the standards for determining a coin's condition, and for Washington quarters the difference between a circulated very fine example and a mint state 67 or 68 can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth thousands. And to give you a perspective, a common date 1964 silver Washington quarter might sell for its silver content at around $5 to $10 if circulated, but that same coin in flawless MS-67 condition with bright luster and no marks could command several $100 or more, and in the case of key dates like the 1932D and 1932S, those in top condition can surpass six figures, which is why grading and preservation are so critical in this series. And beyond grading, registry set collecting has exploded in popularity, with collectors competing to build the finest possible sets of Washington quarters by date, mint mark, and grade, submitting their coins for certification and comparing them in online registries where high scores and rankings drive demand for the absolute top population coins, leading to record-breaking auction sales. And when we consider the broader scope of investment, the Washington quarter offers several categories of opportunity, beginning with the silver issues from 1932 through 1964, which are always in demand due to both their intrinsic silver value and their classic design status. Then continuing with the clad issues which, while overlooked for years, are now receiving serious attention from specialists. Because coins from the late 1960s through early 1980s are extremely difficult to locate in pristine condition, largely because they were struck in huge numbers for commerce but very few were saved, and this scarcity at the high end makes them sleeper coins in the market. And then there are the commemorative and program issues, such as the Bicentennial quarters which continue to attract nostalgia-driven buyers, the 50-state quarters program which remains one of the most widely collected coin series of all time, and the America the Beautiful and American Women quarters that keep the design fresh and appealing to new generations. And what makes Washington quarters particularly fascinating is the role of varieties and errors, because while the average person might only notice the year and mint mark, specialists know that double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and transitional errors can turn a seemingly ordinary coin into a treasure worth hundreds or thousands, and famous examples include the 1934 double die obverse with extra thickness in the motto, "In God We Trust," the 1943 S double die reverse with strong doubling on "United States of America," and more recent finds like the 2004 Wisconsin quarter with the extra leaf which sold for thousands when first discovered and still commands premiums today. And these types of finds keep collectors excited, checking their pocket change, and engaging with numismatics in a very real way. And when we step back to view the Washington quarter series as a whole, it stands as one of the longest continuously running coin series in U.S. history, covering everything from pre-World War II silver issues to modern clad and commemorative designs, with each era telling a unique story. And it's worth noting that the coin's design itself has evolved over time, with modifications to Washington's portrait for artistic and technical reasons, leading to versions by sculptors like John Flanagan, William Cousins, and Laura Garden Fraser, whose original 1931 design was finally used starting in 2022 for the American Women quarters, bringing the story full circle by honoring Washington with a portrait that had initially been intended for him. And all of these changes reflect the balance between tradition and innovation, reminding us that coinage is both a functional tool of commerce and a cultural artifact. And when we talk about investment value, Washington quarters offer a wide range of entry points, making them accessible to beginners who might start with circulated silver quarters or state quarters pulled from change, while at the same time offering incredible high-end rarities for advanced collectors chasing top registry coins or unique errors, and auction records continue to prove the strength of this series, with coins like a 1932 D in MS66 bringing over $140,000, a 1932 S in similar condition topping $100,000, and rare modern clad quarters in pristine condition reaching into the thousands, showing that even coins struck in recent decades can surprise the market. And perhaps the most compelling part of the Washington Quarter's legacy is its ability to capture the imagination of both seasoned numismatists and brand-new collectors, because whether you're chasing key dates, silver bullion content, error coins, or simply enjoying the variety of designs in the 50 states or America the beautiful programs, there is something in this series for everyone, and that enduring versatility is why the Washington Quarter remains one of the most collected and beloved coins in the United States, continuing to be a cornerstone of the hobby, bridging generations, and securing its place not just as a coin of commerce but as a lasting piece of history, artistry, and investment potential, and with its combination of key rarities, silver content, fascinating varieties, and modern collector programs, the Washington Quarter will continue to be an essential focus for numismatists for decades to come, making it not just a coin but a story of America itself, told in metal, design, and tradition. And with all of that said, this concludes our deep dive into the Washington Quarter Dollar, a coin whose journey from 1932 to the present captures nearly a century of American history and continues to inspire collectors worldwide. So if you've enjoyed learning about the Washington Quarter, stay tuned for more incredible coin stories, and as always, thanks for watching.